Hi there, it's Sandra, and you are listening to the podcast A Duchess Like Us. Hello, and welcome to episode 15 of A Duchess Like Us, a podcast that reports positively and fairly on Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Today I'm joined by my co-host for this episode of the podcast. So ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. I'm Gayle at Breakthrough Diva on Twitter, always supporting the Sussexes, and that's not changing anytime soon.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm just sipping on the tears on some white tears here, aka pink Moscato. But I'm Nelly, your foul-mouthed sister from over Hadrian's Wall, and I'm at Harklestan on Twitter. Still a fan of the Sussexes, and yes, I'm here for all the shenanigans this week.
Excellent. Thank you.
Shenanigans.
Because there was some this week, I'm telling you.
Ooh,
Oh,
weren't they
Lord.
just?
It's turning anyway.
They're just.
Yes. So last week, or the last couple of weeks, I should say, have been quite interested in here in the UK. Last week, we had comments from Edward Enninful, the editor of British Vogue, talking to Sky News about Meghan, which caused quite a stir both in the UK and around the world. Then we had an incident at the BBC where a DJ resigned from the corporation over the use of the N-word by a white journalist in a news broadcast about a racial attack on a young black man. And today, Tuesday the 11th of August, we've had the release of that book, Finding Freedom. So today in this episode of the podcast, we're going to cover the following topics. The first one's going to be about Edward Enninful and the comments he made about Meghan this week. The second topic we're going to talk about is the latest scandal to engulf the BBC, the UK's national state-funded broadcaster. And then finally, we're going to talk about the lack of diversity in the UK media. So let's start with the first topic.
Mm-hmm.
Edward, what can we say? All right, I'm not going to rage. I'm just going to say my piece, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
calm, composed. Here we go. So, as I said before, last week, Edward Enninful gave an interview to Sky News to launch the September 2020 edition of British Vogue, which was based around activism and Black Lives Matter. Now, what was controversial was his comments that he made about Meghan. He said, and I quote, because I printed this out and I wrote it down properly, "The Duchess of Sussex is a brave woman. I feel that part of the problem is it was more institutional. She walked into an institution and everybody expected her to know the rules. Sometimes it takes a minute to understand the rules. She did get very unfair treatment. It was harsh, but I wouldn't just blame it on racism." Damn fool. Ladies, what do you think about his comments?
Okay, let Jesus take the wheel here, right?
Let me just let's see. Should I go first, or
I think you
I
better.
don't mind.
Yeah, you go, Nelly.
Oh, the coonery. That's all I can say. The coon just jumped out of that one, and I'm sorry if this is going to offend some of our listeners, but I'm sorry, that was some Uncle Tom bullshit he was spilling, considering that not long ago he said that racism was involved. He did an interview with Afua Hirsch, who coincidentally is working on this Vogue cover, this Vogue issue with him. And he said that there was certainly racism involved. And do you guys recall him being racially profiled entering his own
Yes.
Oh,
building the
yes.
other
That's
day.
right. That only happened a
Yep.
couple of weeks ago. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe it was
Yep.
maybe it was institutional. He didn't know the rules.
He didn't know the
Mm.
rules. Didn't know the
So
rules.
I was
Mm.
I was apoplectic. I could not believe that this man would just do a complete 180. I was like,
I could.
why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And then to find out why that was the case. I mean, we got little tidbits here and there. If you follow British Vogue on Twitter, and
Mm.
you would see a number of articles talking, sort of embiggening unable, and you're like,
And I'm not just
and
unable.
mm,
Tell us
Mm.
more.
Well, we had,
yeah,
oh dear, I nearly said something there, but we are on podcast and we did promise to keep it nice and calm. So let's just refer to her given name, the Queen.
Okay.
mm,
I'm not saying nothing.
yes. So as it turns out, the Queen is going to be featured in, is it next month's issue?
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Vogue 25, isn't it? Isn't she
Vogue,
going to be in the
Vogue 20, yes,
Vogue
she's going to
25
be in
issue?
Vogue. She's going to be in Vogue 25. Ironically enough, alongside Emily Maitlis, whose interview with the Queen's son definitely
Oh,
contributed to
oh.
an annus horribilis. And
No, hold up a minute. We need to give you props there, Nelly. Well done.
in
The
terms of
Queen's
what?
son. Yeah, well done, the Queen's son, because I know that was hard.
No, don't worry. I will drop the Nancy Drew soon. Don't get, alleged and all of that. But no, but yeah. So for him to, he used Meghan. He really used her. That's what I feel. And
He did.
it really it hurts my soul. And it hurts my soul because that issue of Vogue, I was all in getting. I was definitely going to buy it because it has my. I'm a Manchester United fan. You don't know that, but I am. And
That's a shame.
it had Mark Sharp.
Paula.
Sharp.
Well, someone's got to support them.
I know.
But Marcus Rashford and and what he's done, holding that flipping government to account about getting meals to poor kids, so proud of him. I was going to buy. I mean, there on top of that, there are so many other people who are who are in that magazine that I was like, people that I know from like the BLM movement and activists, and I was so hyped for this magazine, and then he gave that fucking interview, and I was like, and I was just like, nah, sit your ass down. I'm not, you're not getting a penny from me ever again. And on top of that, he threw her under the bus on her fucking birthday. On her birthday.
Yeah.
And by the way, he personally did not wish her a happy birthday. British Vogue did, but he didn't.
But even their wishes were very muted in comparison to well wishes they have sent to other members of the royal family.
Yes.
So here's my 2 pence on this whole. Oh, come on, girl. Let's just be respectful. Edward Enninful. Okay? Let's just call him that. What's really, really sad is that this time last year, we were applauding him. We were cheering him on for, his editorship really came into its own this time last year. Not only did he and Meghan do an amazing job, the subject matter, the content, everything was spot on. And I loved when they announced a few months afterwards that this was going to become a regular feature within Vogue. So you knew that Meghan was a real trailblazer, and he appreciated that. They worked together. And to be honest, I was expecting to see her maybe not guest editing again, but certainly appearing in future episodes and future issues, you know. So you can imagine how a year later to see the foolishness that has now been played out. For me, the comments were, number one, it wasn't really racism. Oh, well, no, it wasn't really racism that he made to Gillian. And also, she didn't know the rules. She knew enough of the rules last year to help you become an award-winning issue. That issue broke records. It was the fastest selling Vogue ever. Not that year, not this decade, ever. It won diversity awards for the inclusion. You know, it was an issue that really did deserve to be held up as, you know, as an iconic issue. So I'm not saying that he has to, you know, kiss the Meghan's ring every time he sees her. I get that. But to throw her under the bus so deliberately, and to know that it was part of an orchestrated attack, because when you line it up with the emboldening and embiggening of the coat hanger, and then we've also got the sovereign, appearing in the next issue, and all against the backdrop last year of Camel Toe saying, oh, number one, why there aren't enough white women on the cover? Number two, why hasn't she got the Queen on? These people like to make out that, you know, they are above Meghan. And this is what really bugs me about this whole thing. When people say, Gayle, why are you so involved? Why does it get you so like this? Why are you so passionate? I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's the bloody royal family. But this is the reason why. This is exactly the reason why. Because they use that woman as, you know, let's keep it cool. But in Jamaica, as we would say, as you know, them take her for puppy show, right?
Yes.
They've used that woman, and they're trying to make out like she was nothing before she came, and she's nothing because she left. When that is, you know, we can go on about this all day. We got other topics to discuss. But all I'm going to say is that the fact that he, of all people, allowed himself to be bought, because that's what's happened. He's allowed himself to be bought by the establishment. And this is why I've got utmost respect for people like George the poet, who refused his whatever it was, OBE, CBE, or MB, whatever it was they were giving to him, right? And others, because one of the things I've heard many Black people say that do accept the award is, oh, you know, I accepted it for my family. It makes my mum proud, my dad proud. They came here as immigrants, and, you know, and I really wanted to take it for them. George the poet declined because of his family, because he knows what his family went through. He knows what's been sacrificed ancestrally in order for that to be pinned on his chest. He knows. And so I have more respect for people like that than people like this Enninful idiot.
Exactly,
right?
because that's what he is.
You know, exactly. He allowed himself, yes, he had the OBE before, but the fact that he allowed himself to be bought off after such an iconic issue to now do this, and like you say, and on her birthday, against the backdrop of a very successful fundraising campaign, he could see that people around the world were celebrating her. Around organizations and individuals from around the world. I've never seen such an outpouring of well wishes for a royal's birthday.
No, for me, my take on it is that I was so disappointed. I've never, you know, when you put faith in somebody and you think, yeah, there's a good, strong Black man. Look at him. He's standing up for, you know, his sister. You know, they're working together. And then to do this, it was like someone stabbed me in the chest. Do you know what I mean?
It was a slap in the face.
It was like someone stabbed me in the heart. It was just so. I didn't expect that from him. I really didn't expect it from him.
No.
And then what really, really got me was she didn't know the rules. Like, she's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's
she
what
didn't know
got
the
it was
rules.
the condescendingness of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what
absolutely.
really. I was like, I can't believe you're saying that. I had to. I've got Sky TV, so I saw the interview, and I was like, nah, man, you didn't say that. You really didn't say that. So I was disappointed because he was bought off. He's so desperate to stay part of the establishment.
Exactly.
He felt that he could do that. The fact that he could chuck her, he literally threw her away.
Yeah.
That's what he did. He literally threw her away to say, to have his head up the Queen's arse. I was like,
well, not just
man.
the Queen, not just the Queen, but the one that wears the drawing room curtains as well.
Yeah,
because, you know, did you see the pictures and the verbiage about her? It's like, oh, for goodness sake, we all know you don't care about him. She don't even care about herself much as anybody else. So why are you doing this?
I don't know. As I said, I'm completely disappointed with this man. I think and you know what else really annoyed me? I'm sorry, I've got to say this. On Twitter, the Sussex Squad themselves and other people are basically saying, I read one comment that really drove me mad. It was, oh, Black Brits, they're so weak. How can they do that? Chuck Meghan under the bus. Let me make this very clear to everybody. He is one man.
You've brought this up.
He is one man. He does not speak for the Black community, right?
No.
The Black community
definitely not
is made up of Black Africans, Black Caribbean, Black
British,
you name it, Black British or whatever. Just because one Black African has chucked Meghan under the bus doesn't mean all Black Africans have chucked Meghan under the bus, or all Black Caribbean people have chucked Meghan under the bus, or all Black British have chucked Meghan under the bus. He is one man with a platform. He don't speak for me on this situation.
Or me.
Right? So I want to make that perfectly clear. One Black man doesn't speak for all of us. Yeah? And that's what got me so mad. Because how can you say that?
Well, I'm not surprised to hear that, and I know that as a platform, it's not one that you frequent, perhaps maybe as often as myself or Nelly. Because one thing I have noticed, definitely since the Sussexes have left, is there's a growing kind of, again, using the word narrative if you want, but there's certainly a voice that's getting louder on Twitter, condemning Black British as almost being stupid and sheepish. Now, whilst, I mean, do you know what I'm talking about, Nelly?
I hear you, yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, and to be honest, there are many times I find that quite offensive, because I'm an active Black British person on that platform, an active member of the squad, and everybody knows that. I don't hide it, I don't shy away from it. So I do sometimes find it offensive. However, I also understand that as a collective, as a community here in the UK, we have not always rallied around Meghan, to be fair, from when this first started, and we noticed, even to this day, I still have discussions, some heated, with, members of our community who think I've lost my marbles. Well, she's not even Black. I don't even know what you're carrying on with. It's not like she's a real Black woman. Well, as I said, and I made that point on the last podcast, if that's how they treat her with an ounce, imagine how they treat me, who's the full pint, or the full litre, as we're now decimal metric.
Yeah, it's true.
Right, imagine. And I know we're going to talk about this a bit later on when we get on to talking about representation, but representation does matter. And it doesn't matter whether she's mixed, whether she's full, whether she's quarter or half. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And for me, I'll even go one step further. It wouldn't matter for me whether she wasn't Black at all, because I really, really hate injustice of any kind. I hate bullying. And I couldn't sit down and rest easy if any person, especially a woman, and a pregnant woman at that, was being treated the way Meghan was treated. For what reason? The fact that she's biracial, mixed, Black, that just intensified the cause for me.
Mm.
But at the same
me.
time,
Mhm.
yeah, I'd be fighting for it anyway. But the fact is that, hold on a minute, this is 2020, or 2019, 2018, 2016, as it was back then. We're not going to rest with this so easy. We're going to call you out.
Mm.
I don't care who you are. We're going to call you out.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's what annoyed me more than anything, because it's like one man says something, so that means the black British community think that. It don't go like that. Do you know what I mean?
And you know, we've said this before that well, the other thing is that because unfortunately here in the UK we do have our fair share of Uncle Toms, and yes, Edward
Yes.
Enninful has joined the ranks, and
Yeah.
unfortunately a lot of those Uncle Toms are overrepresented in our celebrity, you know, discounting of course the likes of Stormzy and the grime artists, but look at your John Barnes, look at your the people in politics, look at all the black Tories, you know, biggest Uncle Toms that they be.
James Cleverly,
Ugh.
Sean Bailey, name their names, right? We
Yeah.
know who they are.
Yeah.
We know who they are.
Yeah. So yep, Kemi Badenoch, my favorite. This
Your
there's no
favourite.
my personal favorite. The fucking size of the gaps in her braids, bitch.
But yeah, it's just it's
But
annoying. It's
no,
annoying.
but there's some, yeah. But the thing is that a lot of these people have the ears of the establishment, and because there's so much, you know, and they have you know, they be saying all this, they'll be talking all of this shit about there's no, you know, there's, you know, the N word has no effect on me, or laugh at the fact that black maternal death is not a thing in the UK, that it's
I know. Yeah.
to see people, to hear people like that who look like me and are laughing at that, and then you've got their white co-signers co-signing all of that shit. This is why, you know, we can't have an honest conversation. We will never have an honest conversation about race. We'll never have an honest conversation about colonialism. And then we're also not this country will not have an honest conversation of why the Sussexes were driven out of this country.
They can't have an honest conversation. They've got their head in the sand. You know, they don't even want to admit that racism exists. You know, no one wants to have that discussion in the places where it really counts. So it's not, and this is something that we'll talk about when we get on to talk about representation, because yes, a lot of people are paying lip service to having these conversations since Black Lives Matter, but are they having the conversations in the places where they really count, with the places that can affect change? No, they're not.
Because it doesn't affect them. Basically, it doesn't affect them, and while it doesn't affect them, they can ignore it. You know, so it's just that whole situation is a sad one, and I just think that for me, I will never, how can I put it, look up to somebody like that again, because I know that when it suits them, they'll just chuck them away. They'll chuck us away.
Yeah.
We're just a stepping stone for them to get into the establishment, you know?
And that's why
crab in the barrel mentality.
Right, exactly. Crab in the barrel mentality. But that's also why, you know, when he came out the other day, and, you know, I'm side-eyeing Edward now, I've got to be honest, because when he came out the other day with this, I was racially profiled to go in my office story, I remember thinking at the time, you're the editor. How many times have you been in that office? And it's only now you've been racially. He's been the editor for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. And he's only now been racially profiled according to him. Right. Which is fair enough. I'm not saying it didn't happen. But what I find interesting is that it happened. This issue with Marcus Rashford on the cover, Marcus, and the lady's name escapes me, but I know exactly who she is. And so this issue comes out and he throws Meghan under the bus. And I'm just thinking, look, I've worked in and around PR for a fair amount of time to know how things are manufactured sometimes to manipulate people, right?
Mm.
And I'm not saying that it is manipulated, but I am questioning the sequence of events.
Yeah.
Because I think with that interview, there has to have been some knowledge that he was going to lose people. But if you've already got a number of people on side because you've been a victim, for want of a better word, you know, the ones you lose are made up for by the ones you gained.
Mm-hmm. But we were just
my opinion, and it's all alleged conjecture. My opinion and my opinion only. As I say all the time, it's gospel to nobody else but myself.
True, but it's you're not exactly lying. Do you know what I mean? It just rings true to me. But I just feel that we're collateral damage. He's got what he needs, and now he's moved on. He don't need Meghan no more. Meghan's not here. She's in the US.
Yeah.
I just need to.
And that's the other thing. I think because she has moved to the US, he definitely thinks that he has no further use for her, and that he'll just concentrate on the royals that are here, which is of course Enable and the current sovereign. And obviously,
I'm loving the respect. I'm loving the respect.
He's just been very polite today.
Very.
Lord, and of course the ugly stepsisters will at some point be, you know, will be doing their photo shoots. As a matter of fact, have you seen?
You mean the new Lolita? You mean the new Lolita?
Jesus Christ. Have you seen that shit? Yo.
Have you? No. Sandra, we have to give this a little license. I know we're running out of time. Right, we're up against the time. But really, against the backdrop, who thought that was a great idea? Number one, her father is accused of alleged paedophilia or child sex trafficking. At the very best, it's sexual abuse. At the very best, right? He's been accused of that. And you have this sexy, provocative cover on high society aristocrat magazine, right? Bearing your shoulders. You're supposed to be part of the family rehabilitation. You just got married 2 days ago. What the hell is that? What
they got no sense. They got no sense.
Yeah.
There's no self-awareness.
None. But
there's no self-awareness.
To be fair, I do think Tatler
I think
Tatler trolling them.
Oh, I agree. Well, no.
I think Tatler's trolling them.
No, but I also think that Tatler are sending out the message that here we have a blood princess. She can do whatever the hell she wants, unlike the middle class Middleton and the uppity Negro.
The uppity Negro.
Basically,
the infiltrator. How dare they let her get in? How did she get in? Get her out.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay. So I think we've covered that first topic to death. Not that it wasn't well deserved, but I'm just really disappointed, and I'm done with him.
Yeah,
basically.
fuck him.
Yeah, I'm
done. Deleted the app. Unfollowed on every platform. You know, don't invite me. I'm glad we're in lockdowns, because don't be inviting me to no damn garden party or whatever it is. I'm not going.
Yeah, don't blame you. Yeah, cool. I agree with you there. All right, let's move on to topic number 2, which is the latest scandal to engulf the BBC. So if people are unaware, the BBC is the national state-funded broadcaster. And in my opinion, and nobody else's, it's the mouthpiece of whatever government is in power. So anyway, this weekend, the BBC was engulfed in another scandal. And here's a summary of what happened. Last month, a BBC regional news programme broadcast a report about a racial attack on a young black man. In the report, a white journalist stroke presenter used the N-word when describing the incident. This regional news broadcast was then rebroadcast on the main news bulletin programme. Before the broadcast, the BBC informed viewers that offensive language was going to be used. The broadcast went out. The viewers complained. The BBC did not apologise, but doubled down on their behaviour. They said that they had the support of the victim's family to use the word in the broadcast. However, 4 days later, over 18,000 complaints were received by the general public. And only after DJ Sideman publicly resigned with immediate respect and called the BBC out on the way the BBC handled the situation, did the BBC finally apologise and acknowledged that they had made a mistake over the handling of the situation. So, ladies, my question is, what's wrong with the BBC? Are they dumb?
No, they're just white.
Why did they think it was okay to say the N-word on the BBC news item when they know that they can't say anything offensive about the LGBT community or the disabled community? What makes them think that they can say that?
Or Jewish people.
Or any person, anybody.
They couldn't even,
because they're white.
Yeah, apart from
we literally just spoke about it in last segment. You know, conversations are happening, but are they happening in the places where they matter? No. The BBC is run by its board of directors, the director general, okay, and is supported by a number of people around that person. How many of those people are black? How many of those people are able to make executive decisions? None of them.
I don't know.
That's the answer, zero. Okay. Right? They're not. So there's nobody. This is no different to what happened a couple of years ago with the H&M advert with the black child advertising.
Oh yeah,
the hoodie with the monkey on. Because there's nobody that can make a decision. There's no one in a decision-making authority that can make a decision, that can look at that and say, no, inappropriate, no, racist. And it's the same in these organisations. You know, the BBC is not that much different from all the others. What my real issue is not even so much that, because I suppose I'm numb to it. It doesn't mean that it's acceptable, but I'm a little bit more numb to it because I'm used to it. However, my issue is the consistency or the inconsistency, because they received 18,000 complaints and didn't do anything until
Sideman called him out.
Right, until Sideman called him out. And I'm glad he did. And he was the right person, because he's a real voice of the youth. You know, most people my age don't even know who he is. Exactly, I got to know him. But it's true, I only got to know him because, you know, through Love Island. He does this commentary when Love Island's on, which is hilarious. And my daughter loves Love Island. So, you know, it's like, oh, Mum, you got to watch this. You know, that's the only reason why I know who he is. But he was the right person. Because that generation, they're not like us. They're not like me. They're not going to be like, oh well, that's just the way they are. No, there's like, hold on a minute. And what I loved about his statement was with immediate effect. We're not talking about this. Don't ring me up. I'm gone.
Yeah.
Right. And that was it. But the other thing with that as well, what I really what I was saying about the inconsistency was it was 18,000 complaints. When Naga Munchetty made her remark, it was one complaint. It was one complaint they received, and they acted straight away. One. But yes, you get 18,000 and you do nothing. And that's what I don't agree with, that inconsistency. I mean, we know that we know they're racist. We know they're right wing. You know, and it's going to take a long time for them to change. But that inconsistency, hell no. It's across the board. If you're going to do one rule for one, then do it for everybody. What do you think, Nelly?
Okay, well, I have a weird relationship with the N-word. Obviously, I don't say it with a hard R, as most racists do. Obviously I don't use it in front of my very white husband. However, I do use it as a pejorative normally, and I must say when I saw that report, my skin went on fire, and I'm just like, I know we got the warning, but I'm like, why still say it? Just, you can just say the N word, and people will know what it means.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? People know, because people know exactly what you mean, because you're not going to hear the word. Okay, well, to be fair, we did hear when what's her face, Priti Patel, called herself the P word. Well, this was obviously in the context of her, doing her bullshit in the comments, and how she was saying, oh, I was bullied and I was called a packy, and that was allowed to go out on air. Another racial slur. They could have bleeped that out, and I'm sure that we still would have gotten the context, since she's an Asian woman. And what's the Asian N word? It's the P word. So they're incredibly lax with their racial slurs, but they do shut up shop with all the other slurs out there, whether it's regards to Jewish people or people in the LGBT community. I just wonder, why are they so lax with that? But like you said, I agree that it's because it's a white institution, and they just don't really give a shit. I don't know, what does June Sarpong do? She's some diversity person. She's
got a new job at the BBC. Is it head of diversity or something? Now,
some bullshit like that, and I'm just like, she's someone else.
She's quite new, but she's quite new. Okay, she's quite new to the job. So she hasn't been. I mean, how long has she been on there? I mean, she was
a few months, to be fair, probably a year.
Yeah, exactly. So she hasn't had any time to effect change yet, and that's what I mean when I say that. Because I think that's it, Director of Creative Diversity. That's her official title, the BBC's first Director of Creative Diversity. But the thing is that she has literally just got that role this year.
Yeah.
So she hasn't had time to effect change. Whether June is the right person, I don't know. I mean, she's certainly been through, she's come up through the ranks. She knows her stuff. She's been subject to. And so I'm rooting for June. I've got to be honest. I'm really rooting for June. And I'm glad that it's someone like her that has, she's put in the work. She more recently she was on Loose Women. I always thought Loose Women was beneath her personally, but then I don't like Loose Women. So
yeah, it's rubbish. It's a rubbish program.
Well, it's crap.
To our American listeners, it's basically the US version of The View, but with the worst people.
One of those.
The View. Actually, I don't know.
I'm not a fan of The View either.
Yeah, well,
The View's rubbish.
To me, it's worse. The View's worse, in my opinion. No,
they're both.
Loose Women is worse. Loose Women is worse than
the worst
View.
of the. It is. It's the worst of the lot. It's really awful. Yeah. But so I always thought Loose Women was beneath her. But she has got. She's put in her work. She's done her time. Without a doubt, she started on youth programming on Channel 4. She's been a presenter. She's also done she's also been an activist. So I'm glad that someone like her has come up through the ranks for that kind of job, rather than some American person, or God forbid another white man, because but that that would have been, you'd be surprised, the people that I've seen over the past few weeks in particular, past few months in particular, who are older white men wanting to talk about diversity and inclusion. So, excuse me.
We're going to go on to that anyway next, but I was going to put my 2 pence in. I don't like the N word. I think that I won't use it. It is very degrading, and I hate black people calling it to each other, because it's just, I feel that you have no respect for somebody calling them that. Do you know what I mean? I just don't like the words. I've never have. I just don't like it. So, but what I hate even more than that is when a white person tries to justify using the word. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I'm using it because that's what they said. No, you don't use it. You just don't use it.
You just don't use it.
You know, so I completely agree with Sideman. I'm glad that he I love his. There's a video on The Guardian. I'll probably link it in
it was
the
fantastic.
description, which is a classic. He didn't mince his words. He knew exactly what he meant, and he put it out there, and he was gone.
Yeah,
Good.
and then he was gone, and that's what I like. It's the immediacy. It's like, you know, it was almost like, look, don't bother ring my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've gone.
You know, but what I liked about him was, I mean, I know that he's got publicity and everything, but we've got Edward Enninful, who everyone's like, oh, jump into his defence. And then we've got a principled black man who's saying, I'm out of the BBC, fuck you, you can't sort your business out. And nobody's saying nothing. Do you know what I mean? That's what bugs me, is that principle against somebody chucking somebody under the bus. Who do you stick with? Principle, or no principle?
I respect people. I respect people with principles, man.
All day, every day. Yeah, all day.
So that's why I was over the moon when you shouldn't celebrate people walking out of a job, but I was like,
he hasn't,
good.
He's walked into a sea of opportunity. Let me tell you, right?
Well, good for him. I know, he deserves it.
It's hard to say, and that's not. And the beautiful thing about that is that is not why he did it.
No,
he didn't do it. He did not do that for the glory. Hell no. And I know he didn't. I've been watching this guy now for the past couple of years. I think I've got a good measure of his heart, you know, plus he's a Brummie. Right? I've got a bit of an affection for Brummies. So, you know, no, I do not believe for one moment that he did that. And, you know, you see the pain on his face in that video when he talks about, that came from the heart. And like you say, it was the biggest fingers up, you know, no, I'm not going to sell my soul for you. And if it means that I now have to sit down and be on JSA, then fair enough, but I'm not selling my soul for you.
Exactly.
And he's way too talented. And there are people, and you know, he's the kind of guy that creates his stuff. You know, the stuff he was doing in lockdown was amazing. He can create his own opportunity, and he will.
Yeah. And good for him, because he deserves it. Because to basically, you know, say, I'm out of here, you're not worth it, I'm gone. I think, good for you. Good. And so young people see that and we're like, you know, we can just walk out we don't owe nothing to nobody. We'll just pack our bags and go. And I loved it. I loved every second of that.
Pick up your things. I love that. Pick up your things, my God.
Yes. So it was wonderful. It was really nice to see that. So good for him. And young people, look at him rather than Edward Enninful, So that's all I'm going to say on that matter. So the final, let's move on to the final point. The final topic for this evening is the lack of diversity in the UK media. Now, the reason why I brought this up as a topic is because after the Enninful incident and the incident with Sideman this week, I started to look more closely at the lack of diversity in the UK media. In that, I'm of Caribbean descent. I'm not going to deny it. That's my heritage. I love it. Yeah, but when I look at the UK media, I see a lot of Asian and Indian journalists, presenters, or whatever there is. I see a lot of Black African journalists, writers, etc. But I hardly see any Black Caribbean presenters or journalists on mainstream newspapers. And it just made me think, why is it that I don't see many Black Caribbean representatives out there? What is it about the industry that prevents Black Caribbean people moving forward or getting into the industry or being successful in the industry?
First of all, I'd have to ask you to clarify, what do you mean by the industry? Because are you talking about newspapers? Are you talking about TV?
I'm talking about what I see, because I don't consider I am in the industry, but I don't consider myself in the industry like somebody 24/7. It's their full-time like career. So when I look at the BBC or look at Sky or look at ITV, I don't see much representation of me. And I can name Black Caribbean presenters in TV media on one hand.
Yeah.
But then I work during the day, so I only get to see a bit of news or whatever during the day. But I just noticed that there wasn't more. I'm not saying it in a horrible way. I'm just saying
no, it's observation.
That's just what popped up to me. There's not much representation of the Caribbean or Caribbean descent in UK media. But then it made me think about the industry as a whole. How much representation is there for Black Caribbean in the industry as a whole? And this is the question I'm just throwing out because it's beginning to fascinate me now because I want to see, when you're like, well, why is that? Why? I'm like a 3-year-old. Why? Sort of thing. And I just wanted to know, Gayle, because I know you've worked in basically the UK media for most of your adult life. What are your opinions on the topic? Was it always like that? Has it always been like that? And have you seen any improvement in the industry over the years you've worked in it?
Can I just say, from my perspective, it is 100%, if not more, improvement than what it is. And it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting that from your perspective, you're thinking, oh, well, there's not much representation. Whereas from my perspective, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they got another Black person on.
Right,
we had nobody. When I started at the BBC, in fact, August, so the same month now, in fact, was it the 8th of August? Can't even remember. No, it was August 1986 was when I started at the BBC. Okay. And I originally started off in radio. And I can honestly say, aside from when I went to Bush House, down in the Aldwych, which used to be the home of World Service, apart from when I went to Bush House, I can count on one hand with fingers to spare how many other Black people I bumped into, worked with, walked past, and when I was at Broadcasting House at the top of Regent Street, when I was at Woodlands in Shepherd's Bush, TV Centre in Shepherd's Bush, we were very, very few and far between. Very few and far between. So now it seems like, oh wow, there's loads. However, when when there's not many, when you know the names of everybody, because if I said to you, who was the presenter on last night's edition of whatever, 9 times out of 10 it's a white person. You won't know because there's so many of them. Whereas if I said, right, who was the presenter on the talk on Channel 4 last week, most people who ever watched it would know because it would be a Black person, and it would be a Black person who has already got some profile because we use the same people over and over again.
Yep.
And that I find, so it's not that there aren't any in your and the Caribbean descent is coming through and whatever. My concern is the same as I said in the other segment. It's about the decision makers. How many Black decision makers? So that's why I'm cheering on June Sarpong, because she's a decision maker. But and you talk about the Africans and the Asians. One thing I know about the African and Asian communities, they're very good at mobilizing themselves. They're not waiting for anybody. They're not asking permission. They just mobilize themselves. The very fact that, at one stage, you had more Asian-based programs on TV than Black programs. In fact, Black programming almost disappeared. Not almost, it has disappeared from TV. What we're seeing now is people are coming back. We've got BBC iPlayer are streaming The Real McCoy from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Where's the new programming? Where's the creative talent? When Michaela Cole created her program Chewing Gum on Channel 4, everybody wanted to see it because it was probably the one and only black talent that we had really starting to come through. And you know, and
then she came back with a force.
Right,
with,
exactly.
yeah.
With the other show. And
I May Destroy You.
That's it, I May Destroy You on BBC. Right, so it's that sort of thing that I find needs more work. It needs more work. We need to have decision makers. We need to have program planners. We need to have, we've got people who are making their films and doing their stuff. But in those corridors that the decision's being made in, where are those? Where are we there? You know, the Africans, again, great at mobilizing themselves. You know, the fact that in Africa you've got a whole Nollywood has, genre has popped up. You know, it's same with Afrobeats. They are controlling their stuff. The Asians are controlling their stuff.
And we need to control our stuff.
We do. But where is it? What, you know, we're disjointed. You know, I know there's stuff happening.
Yeah.
But I know that, but someone's doing a bit over there and someone's doing a bit over there, but they're not talking to that one because, again, crabs in a barrel. You know, so I'm going to keep my stuff to myself, and you're going to keep your stuff to yourself. So we, again, where are we joining up? Where are we meeting? Because when you do stuff like that, when you work together, genuinely collaborate, okay, you are then a powerful force to be able to walk into that room and say, right, we'd like to have a discussion about how we're going to leverage what we're doing to help you reach more people. We're going to show you how you can engage our community, because that's what power does. But we can't do that when we're not a force. And I don't know. Are we a force yet? I
think we are a divided force.
And we are in some areas, but are we a force in the areas that count yet? I don't know.
And this is the question this is why I'm asking the question. Why is there such why is there such a lack, in my eyes, of Black Caribbean presenters, filmmakers, whatever, coming through? I mean, we've got like people like Steve McQueen coming through, and
we've got Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen's been around for a while.
Yeah, but
he's been around. He's one of
a very few who's up there and has got the power to do what he needs to do. But it's like,
have you seen the trailer for Small Axe? I can't wait for that.
Small Axe, I can't wait for that either. So you've got people like Steve McQueen. You've got even people like Idris. You know, Idris tried his hand with what was it? Was it called Backyard? I can't remember what it was called. The film. I think it was called Backyard. You've got, but look at what happens. Look at the profile they have to have before they have the impact.
Yeah.
You know. So, and like I say, I know there are people that are doing stuff on a smaller scale. I know there are filmmakers, there are newsreaders, there are journalists, you know, there are authors, there are so much creative Black talent, all striving to do stuff and are doing some amazing stuff. But what I'm saying is, where is it joining together? Where is the force? Because like I said, I started at the BBC in 1986. And between 1986 and here where we are now in 2020, I've worked for Channel 4, I've worked for Sky TV, you know, I did my stint in newspapers, you know, and what's changed? Really, if you're still saying this to me now, as someone who's 20 years younger than me, right, you're still saying this now, then I have to ask, well, what's happened? Because it was like that then. I would like to know that whilst we've got more representation from my perspective, because I'm thinking, oh, wow, at least there's a few more. I know loads of people in journalism and whatever, of Caribbean and Black descent, of course. But if you're saying now, well, hold on, I'm not seeing that many, then there's still something wrong.
Yeah, and that's basically was my point, because as a viewer of as you know, as a, you know, I will watch TV, I will, you know, read papers and whatever, but I'm not seeing Black Caribbean people coming through. And I'm glad that you've made the point that there is this almost like underground, there's this network that's there.
Mm.
It's not a joined up network. There needs to be some sort of, like, I don't know, Black Caucus or something
Well, again, National Black Caucus. There
yeah.
was a National Black Caucus, which was run, funny enough, by Lee Jasper. You know, Lee Jasper.
Oh yeah.
Lee Jasper and another guy, David Weaver, from way back in the day. And they were striving to do things then, and that was what, 20, 30 years ago. So things have always tried to happen, but for one reason or another, it's that joining up, and it's that worries me. It's the same. Even if you look, people say, oh, Black people aren't rewarded at things like the BAFTAs or, you know, other award ceremonies. Here in the UK, I can think of 3 award ceremonies off the top of my head that we have that awards Black entrepreneurship, for example. But again, not joined up. Who knows? Unless you're in that space, how would you know? You know, but we've just got literally right now, any moment, any day now, about to be announced, are the BBBA Awards, which are the Black Business Awards, okay, run by a lady called Melanie Usabi. But who knows that?
No, but I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah,
knew nothing about it.
Right, and that's been going now. This is probably about maybe a 4th or 5th year. You've got Precious Awards. You've got the She Gives, or whatever they're called. You know, there's loads of them. But again, as I keep saying, where is that unity? Where's that force that comes together that says, right, hold on, you guys are doing that, and that's fantastic. How can we support you so that we can also leverage to do this? And how are us together going to use this platform or this network we've got to be able to support the next one? And, you know, and people are trying. Like I said, there's a lot going on underground. People are really trying. You know, we've got Black Directory. We've got there's an amazing Facebook group that was formed as a result of Black Lives Matter, which is about UK Black-owned businesses. Got over 35,000 people in that group.
Good.
You know, which is good. And, you know, even I've come across people in that group, businesses in that group that I would never, ever have used or thought of using, because it didn't cross my mind. One the other day was a company that provides outdoor cinema, you know, outdoor cinema equipment, inflatable chairs and stuff like that. I thought, brilliant. You know,
but
a Black-owned company.
It's nice to see that there are things in the pipeworks that it's starting to come together. I just, as I said, I just hope it comes together more quickly, because we need to now, especially with Black Lives Matter, we need to see more of this. We need to have more people coming through. You know, we need to have more Black people with their own companies, but working.
But do you know? And you're absolutely right, Sandra. You really are. You're absolutely right. Because if there was more representation in the media, what's happened to Meghan over the past 4 years would not be allowed to happen.
Exactly.
Because you've got writers for people like the Mail, that, what's her name, Cheyenne Roundtree, whatever her name is, right, who's writing nonsense. But at the end of the day, she's got decisions. Every time she puts her pen to paper, she makes the decision as to whether she's going to pay her bills and slag off Meghan, or whether or not she's going to be true to herself.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing with Cheyenne Roundtree, by the way, she's not. I don't think she's British. I think she's American, and she's based out in America. Yeah. So,
and
yeah,
there's another lady.
As far as I'm concerned, she doesn't count. You know.
In other words,
okay.
She don't count. But then
sellouts don't count in my book.
But there's another lady. There's another lady. I don't think she's on the Royal Beat, but she writes for the Guardian. Another Black lady, young woman, again in her 30s, that writes for the Guardian. And I mean, like I said, she's not a royal reporter, but can you imagine some of the stuff that they're asked to write on, or they're asked to research? And this is the choice that they have to make every time. Do I sell out? and pay my bills, or do I? And what would be nice would be if there was somebody that sat in that editor chair that wasn't prepared to be a token, like our friend we spoke about earlier, that was going to say, right, what I really want to see is fair, balanced reporting that reflect the diversity of our community that we're reporting for. But, you know, whilst the media is controlled the way it is, if you haven't yet watched the Murdoch Dynasty on BBC iPlayer,
Yes,
please,
I'm almost through that.
please,
It's amazing, isn't it?
I cannot believe it shocked the life out of me, because I thought, wow, here we all are thinking we've got free speech and we live in democracy. Hell no.
No, exactly.
We're all saying, oh, it's the Russians. Is it really?
No, it's not.
Is it really?
No. So yeah, that's a fact. That is a fascinating series. I'm really enjoying it at the moment. I think I've got one episode left to watch. So yeah, it has me hooked every time I watch it. So yeah, I've got to finish that off this week actually. But thank you for that, because I'm glad to hear that there are Black companies, there are Black writers, there are Black journalists who are out there, who there are more rather than what I see on TV. And it's good to know. And it's good to know they're going to be coming through soon. I just want to come through quicker. Do you know what I mean? I want to see more. I want to see more like me out there. And as I said, it was for me, it was just a general question. Well, you know, what's happening? Where are they? Why aren't they? You know,
they're here. They're here. It's just that, we are here. We're out here. It's just that our voices need to be amplified, and and for obviously we can, as a community can only do so much, but we do need allies in this, in amplifying those voices. And gosh, I'm not really a fan of the word allies, but yeah, we do need white people sometimes.
Yeah, of course,
we do need allies. We're only 3% of the fucking population. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We're not a huge part of the population at all. But and this is why I'm so in awe of what 19th News are doing over in the States, because that is that kind of platform that we need. It's that kind of coming together that we need, people to actually, genuinely. And sometimes I say this to myself as much as I say this to other people. Sometimes talking about it is not being part of the solution, and we need to be more part of the solution. And I know myself and many other people over the years have tried, and we've done things, and and for one reason or another, it hasn't worked out. And there are still people that keep on trying, and there are still people in my generation that are still doing and trying, and and supporting youngers. But let me tell you one thing I've got to say. I am in awe of millennials. I love that spirit, because millennials are about getting things done. They're not about perfection. They're not about, keep talking about it until it's perfect. Let's just keep doing it until it's perfect. Which is very different. And they are doing some amazing things. I was talking to a woman the other day who she's in her 30s now, and she started her first business at 12.
Wow. Yeah. What can you say? Yeah. Excellent.
Black, British, Caribbean.
Good.
Excellent. So people are doing stuff. We just want to hear them more. We want to see more.
Yeah, exactly.
We just want to showcase them more. There's the young boy who, how old is he? 14 now, who started, his first vegan restaurant. I can't remember his name. His surname's McQueen, but amazing young boy who started cooking vegan meals at home, opened up the vegan kitchen.
So anyway, thank you very much for that, for educating me on that, because it's good to know. And I will check out the vegan kitchen, even though I'm not a vegan. So there you go. I like my meat. I always like my meat. So there you go.
Make sure I give you the right details there. I'm sure it's called the vegan kitchen. Amari, that's it. Amari McQueen, who is the founder and CEO of the plant-based restaurant. It's called Dipalicious. Dipalici.
I love it.
Dipalicious. Amari
Oh.
These
McQueen.
boomers.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Cool.
11 years old. You hear that boy speak. Wow,
Excellent.
amazing.
He's coming through. He's coming through. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to my wonderful co-host for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. Don't forget to send in questions and or topics that you would like to have discussed on future episodes. If you'd like to be a guest panelist on the podcast, please reach out to me at hello@aduchesslikeus.com on email or DM me at duchessus on Twitter. If you like what you've heard today, please hit the like button and subscribe to the podcast. Also, please share this episode with anyone else who you think would be interested in listening to this. If you have the time, I'd be grateful if you could leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, as it helps more people see the podcast. I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode and you'll come back for some more. So I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.